Oh, by the way, were you able to access the recording of the last lecture that I put on Google and shared it with you? Were you able to get that? Yeah, you saw that, right? Okay. And I also put on 干净世界, 干净 World. So if you, I have a channel on 干净 World, 干净世界. My channel is 谢天的世界, 谢天的世界. And if you go to my 谢天的世界 under 干净世界, you'll see that I have a channel there. And in my channel, I have what do you call it? Playlist or sub channels. One of them is this class. Right? The other are other classes and also my articles, commentary articles, etc. So maybe I'll show you just a minute. Yeah? Let me share my screen with you. You see my screen? Okay. Let me show you this where my Ganjin world is. Here we go to you can go to 谢天的世界. That's my channel. Okay, that's my channel. Can you see that? You see it? Okay. And this is actually a picture that somebody took of me and the others in Singapore. And visited Singapore years back. It's a nice place, nice place to visit. Great food, you got to go. Gotta go check it out. You can love it. Yeah. They are the practitioners in Singapore. And I give them a seminar somewhere in kind of like country club or something. And then afterwards, we had this picture there taken together. Okay. You go to my world, 谢天的世界, or Frank's world, and see that I have Middletown, Ph.D. College Middletown class. This class. I have another class, that's my marketing research class. Here's another class, is a principal marketing class. And then is my commentary articles on Epoch Times or others. Right? You see some of them, these are the you click on any one of them, like click on this one, you see that recording here. Okay. And this one, I have more market research class and more chapters uploaded. So there, right? That's the Ganjin Shijie, okay? You can use it, feel free to use that. They seem to be okay. They're running that, oh, all right. The speed of uploading the videos and the access, everything seems to be okay. A lot of the practitioners working on that website, and seems doing okay job there. So, all right, let's get to our class. Okay. We in this class, we talk about the marketing in creative industries. The textbook, the subtitle is value, experience, and creativity. Right? The focus here is on the value, creative industry provides to their customers and also experience. But lots of the products and product categories in the creative industry, the focus is on experience, the consumption experience, the experience of the consumers in using the product, enjoying the product, experiencing the product experience. And of course, there is a creativity for the industry. So let's today in this chapter, let's focus on the consumer side of the market, the experience, consumption experience. Okay, we are all consumers. Every one of us is a consumer. We consume more or less the many things, right? And tangible or intangible, right? Many things we consume. So if you remember, we talked about the value creation, creating value for the customers and how marketers can generate greater values, right? In fact, marketing is all about value. Remember what marketing is about? If you have to describe marketing or give a definition of marketing, what is marketing about? From what you know, I know you may not have taken the principles of marketing class. That's okay. In your opinion, what is marketing about? Marketing, right? This class is called marketing for creative industries. What is marketing about? What do you think? Feel free. Yeah. Oh, Justin just joined us. Justin, you're late.
Sorry, I thought it started at 2:45.
No, 2:30, okay? 2:30. Yeah. Always 2:30, right? I'll try to finish, within 2 hours, probably, already an hour and a half, we should be able to finish, right? I know. So we were talking about in this chapter, consumer side of the market, the consumption experience, the part of this value, experience, and creativity, the subtitle of the book, okay? And now, my question to you all, what is marketing about? This is a marketing class, right? I'm a professional marketing, right? Marketing professor. And marketing is one of the four pillars of the area of study in the School of Business. In School of Business, School of Management, uh, we have four pillars, okay? Four pillars. What are the four pillars? Accounting, finance, management, and marketing. These are four major areas, right? One of them is marketing. That's what I study, what I research on, and what I teach. Okay? So what is marketing about? What the marketing activities of companies? What is it about? Anyone? Just
Uh,
go on. Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe like exchanging information between the customer and the business or company.
Okay, very good. Very good. Head on. Young is great. Yeah. Marketing is actually the process, of, facilitating, creating, and exchanges. The key to marketing is exchange something of value between the manufacturer and the customer and end user or customer. And it's all about exchange of something, right? But when we exchange in a freezing society, of course, you're not under duress or you're not forced to give up something, right? So you have a free will to exchange. When you exchange something for normally it's for on one side is money, right? You give your money, pay your money, and you gain something. You exchange for something, right? So what you're exchanging, excuse me, what you're exchanging is something of value. Basically, there is a value in that's being exchanged. Okay, you take a you attend college, you pay your tuitions, you sacrifice your money, the money you have earned, or your parents have earned, or maybe on school student loan is money, your money, right? You're exchanging your money for what? For your education, for your knowledge, for your insights, for the experience of your teachers, and finally, of course, for a degree. For a degree is just a piece of paper, right? You're not really here just for a degree paper, piece of paper. It is really for what is embedded, was reflected in the back of a piece of paper. That's your experience, your knowledge, and your insight, and most importantly, your ability to learn in the future on your own, and your ability to critical thinking and analysis. Okay, So exchange, what is being exchanged is mostly something of value, okay? But what is valued, right? What is the value, right? That's what this slide is about. If you put value in a mathematical expression, as equation like this shows the value of offering for the customer, OC, value offering for the customer value. The value equals what? B, the benefits divided by sacrifices. Okay? Benefits is what you gain, you obtain. What you gain could be functional benefits. You go to restaurant, buy a meal, buy a dinner, buy some Chinese dishes, right? What you gain is the benefits, delicious food, right? That help with your help, so stop your hunger or make it delicious. Just enjoy the eating process. Okay? That's benefits. Sacrifice, sacrifice is the most obvious one is the money you spend. Right? It could also be something else. Sacrifice. It could be the time you spend on that. That's a sacrifice. Right? The effort you put in. That's another sacrifice. Whatever you gave out versus what you come in. Okay? So the benefit, divided by sacrifice, that ratio is the value. Right? In marketing, the marketing department of organization is responsible for representing the customer's viewpoint and ensuring that it is taking into account the value production process. That's what marketing is doing. Right? The whole marketing department, marketers, salespeople, professionals, they work on that to ensure customer value. The value for the creative products that we're talking about here, we're dealing with here, the value can be classified into different categories or different groups, right? And depending on the purpose of the value, it could be extrinsic versus intrinsic. Extrinsic versus intrinsic. What's extrinsic? That's outside yourself, right? Outside your body, outside your physical body, is outside. Intrinsic, inside your body or inside your brain, basically. When you buy something that you feel good, make you feel good, make you feel happy, right? You see a beautiful show, make you, excited, really happy inside your brain. That's intrinsic. That's very intrinsic. Okay? So extrinsic versus intrinsic. It could be the direction could be of the value process. It could be self-oriented or other-oriented. Self-oriented, it is the value process is toward is by yourself, through yourself, and for yourself. Other-oriented, the whole process is for others, for benefit of others. Okay? So if we divide values or classify value into, we can classify it into 4 categories. If extrinsic and self-oriented, we call it utilitarian. You buy something, buy something, and it's useful for yourself, make yourself your problem, make you happy. That's utilitarian, right? And if it's for others, we call that communicative value. Communicative values, value for other people, extrinsic. Okay? If it's for intrinsic and self-oriented, that is, you are enjoying the creative product for the benefit of yourself, make yourself happy inside yourself, inside of you, in your feeling or in your emotions. That's hedonic, right? Hedonic experience. And if it's for others, it's called ethical values. There's an ethical value. There is the benefit is to other people. You make other people happy, right? Make other people happy in their minds. That's ethical, ethical value. Okay? That's our classification or the classification value in this book. Okay, so to summarize it, hedonic value was hedonic value. It derives from the consumption experience per se, with consumers mainly appreciating the effects of the sex experience on themselves. Okay? This value can relate to a vast range of consumer benefits. Could be emotional, make you emotional happy, make you identity, and make you identify to a certain group or a certain desired or associated group, uh, or make you feel sacred and spiritual. Sacred and spiritual. Just like seeing the Shen Yun show, if you read some of the, or watch some of the viewer feedbacks of Shen Yun show, some people tell us that they feel like uplifted. Oh my gosh, I've seen the show, I feel uplifted. I'm spiritually renewed, uplifting. And that's exactly what this intrinsic hedonic value is about. Okay? What is the utilitarian value? Utilitarian value, when the benefits a consumer gets from the product are functional, or functionality of the product, okay? And to the achievement of ulterior goals beyond the experience itself. And when consumers appreciate this benefit or the effects on themselves, it's utilitarian, that satisfy your other needs, extrinsic needs. Okay, that's utilitarian value. It's functional, functional functionality of the product that make you satisfied. The communicative value, that's for the extrinsic. Okay? When consumers use a given product to impact some relevant other people who they care to affect. Okay? For example, to communicate to others their belonging to a social group or to highlight their status. It's communicative. So you say, for example, you guys, after you graduate from college, you belong to a social group of what? College graduates, right? College graduate, that's a social group. Remember, even in America, not everyone has college degree. I think only about the 50% of Americans have a have a college degree or above. Okay? So to highlight their status, remember, it's their status. This is communicating, for other people. Their status, make them feel better, feel good. Ethical value, one of the other four, derives from a consumption experience that when it provides value per se and positively affects some relevant others. Example of that, like charity donations. You donate to charities. Okay? When you give them charity donations, you're giving, this what's the consumption experience in the charity donation. And somebody else have felt the warmth of humanity and your generosity. It's ethical values. Okay, this slide is for a little bit harder to read. It's font small. Let me see, make it larger here. Okay, here we go. Right. If you look at the stage of the experience and the resources utilized and type of information, type of things involved, and description for pre-consumption, for create products, pre-consumption, before you consume the product, right? You may use some temporal, cognitive, and emotional resource, right? The type of information, type of things like the information, okay? Is time and effort spent on gathering information. Remember before you buy, remember the purchase cycle of consumers, the first stage, pre-consumption, you gather information. You spend your time and effort gathering information. Okay? And also temporal, cognitive, and emotional, like doing your search, time, effort spent on product search. Okay? And these are the types of values in the process. And also, there's an opportunity cost. And the value lost by not buying or using an alternative product. You're buying this product, right? But you're not buying the other product. So there is opportunity cost. Yeah, there's opportunity cost of the value you might have lost by not using that product. And there's a risk involved. From a cognitive emotional perspective, there's a risk involved. Risk associated with the buying and using the product that you finally purchased. Okay? And because you could have got the wrong product or a bad product. There's also the switching cost. Right? There's economic value involved. Time, effort, and cost associated with converting other products or activities to use the purchased product. There's a switching cost. Okay? During the purchase stage, when you buy something and you spend the purchase price, you spend the money, right? There's a monetary type of value here. And also you spend time and effort to spend on buying the product. There's a shopping process. There is also the okay? Then during consumption, there is a cost associated with the using the product. And that's economic and monetary. And also the time and effort spent on learning how to extract the value from the product, to benefit from using the product. That is the learning process, during the learning process. Okay? And then there's time and effort you spend and cost spent in order to enjoy the value of the product over time. That's the maintenance part of the consumption process. Post-consumption after the product's use, is the disposal stage to the cost of disposing of the product. People don't even think about the disposing of some products, but there is a cost involved there. Right? For example, I have some big TVs in my house. Right? It doesn't look like anyone is watching them. We have I have one right here in my office here, and the one in our living room, a big one. Nobody's using that. My wife, my mom, and myself, we all have our own iPad, just my computer and cell phone. So how am I going to dispose of that big TV? I don't know. We just leave there for now. Okay? That's the sacrifices and the values. Okay? There is sacrifices and that you give out as a way of gaining your benefits and value. Right? The sacrifices and perceived risk. Right? What kind of risk could be there? Right? What are the perceived risks? Right? Perceived risk of using this current product by the consumers could include the financial risk. You spend money, buy something, spend a lot of money on buying that. There's a financial risk, right? There's also the performance risk. Have you ever bought something that is not performing as you expected? Right? It's not doing what it's supposed to or you expected it to do. Right? There's performance risk. Right? There's also the psychological risk. People sometimes you may not have the experience, but sometimes they spend a lot of money buying something, they feel like that's a big burden on themselves. They feel guilty about spend that money. There is a psychological risk involved in purchasing something. And there's also the social risk. Will be a social risk. You buy something, you buy new clothes, for example, new clothes, and you wear them, and you go out, to your workplace, to your school, and your peers, your classmates, your co-workers may laugh at you, say, "What, how ugly that is, or how out of fashion it is." And there is a social risk involved in your purchasing the product. Okay? In the value consumption process, there's also the dynamic value, dynamic value system. Basically, you either become satisfied or dissatisfied with the use of the product, right? So why do we feel satisfied? When do you feel satisfied when using a product or buying some product or enjoying some product or services? Okay? You're satisfied normally is because your expected value minus your perceived value, okay, is larger. Okay? It's larger. So your perceived value, you expect you received more than what you expected. We are satisfied. Okay? When your perceived value is less than what you expected, and you're disappointed, you feel disappointed, then you have what? You're going to have dissatisfaction. So the difference between expected value and perceived value is a source of your satisfaction or dissatisfaction. Okay? Your satisfaction or dissatisfaction have two components here. There is a cognitive response, there's an emotional response. Okay? There's a cognitive response, you learn about something, you're aware of something, and also there's an emotional response. You're unhappy, when you're dissatisfied, you feel sad, saddened, disappointed. There's an emotional aspect of that. Okay? So positive or negative is actually the misalignment of perceptions with expectations. So your expectation and this is your perception, they misalign. When they're misaligned, then there is satisfaction or dissatisfaction. Okay? There is in the dynamic of a value, the perception, this is what is happening here, right? Before the consumers purchase or use the creative product, they normally have a pre-consumption experience, right? They have pre-consumption experience, more or less. They probably experience something similar, or they haven't seen the show before, and they already knew something about the show or heard about something. So they had some pre-consumption experience there. Because of that, they had expected value. You see the audience of a show. You probably go see a movie, for example. I went to see the movie Avatar. Avatar, the new Avatar movie. I think it's called the Way of Water. Yeah, I heard so much about it. And so when I heard so much about it, people say, "Hey, it's worth seeing. You should see it. You should see it." Yeah. And then we went to see it. And 2 weeks ago, we went to see the movie. And before I went, I had some experience. I saw Avatar first, the first Avatar. Right? I also know this director, Cameron. And I also had some expected value here. I was expecting to see something, see something to be amazed or to make me excited. Yeah, so I have that. Okay? Then, with that expected value in mind, I wanted to purchase the purchase experience. I purchased the service, bought a ticket, went to see the movie, right, constantly. And then there's a consumption experience. In the consumption experience, of course, when you saw the movie, you were amazed at the CGI computer graphic interchange, the animations, the imagination of the writers and directors, is truly amazing, right? So you had your consumption experience, right? What about my perceived value? Do I feel it's worth it? For one, I think we spend about $20 per person or something like that for the ticket. It's a 3D movie, with your eyeglasses on, and I also spend time drive to the theater and spend actually the movie is 3 hours, 3 hour movie. You have to prepare myself to spend that much time, right? What's my perceived value? Right? What's my perceived value? Yeah. My perceived value, to be honest with you, with Avatar, the movie, the Way of Water, the second Avatar, I think is probably about the same as my expected value. I wouldn't say I'm completely overjoyed, happy, I was excited of the seeing show, and also I wasn't really disappointed. It's about the same. So to me, it's okay. It's fine. If you haven't seen it, I would say I'll give you a little. You should see it. You can see it. If you get money and time, to see it. If you're not seeing it, it's not too big of a loss. That's my view, right? So if you have you could have a positive disconfirmation or a negative disconfirmation, right? You have a positive disconfirmation between your perceived value and the expected value that leads to your satisfaction. If there's a negative disconfirmation, right, between your perceived value and expected value, you may have that lead to a dissatisfaction. In my case, I wouldn't say I was dissatisfied, and I would not say that I was completely satisfied. So I can say I'm slightly a little bit satisfied. I'm saying, oh, it's okay. It's okay. So that's my perception, right? That's that's a dynamic of value creation and value generation process. Okay. In the consumption practice, for the consumption practices, okay, every consumption experience engages the consumer on a sensorial, cognitive, emotional, and behavior level. Every consumption experience engages a consumer on a sensorial, cognitive, emotional, and behavior level. That's what the consumption of creative product entails. Right? Consumption practices are behaviors used to extract value from the product. Through these behaviors, consumers co-create value. It's not like the other type of industry or product. They get the benefits, they get the utilitarian or functional benefit, and that's it. Remember, in creative industry, when you see the show, when you see a movie, when you read a novel, we, the consumers, are actually in the process to co-create value. It's not that just your value you gain from the manufacturers that departing to you. It's something actually you and together in the consumption experience create the value, create value. Okay? That's what's unique about the creative industry. Okay? So in the consumption practices, okay, there is a sense making, integrating, and sharing. Yeah. What do you mean by sense making? In the consumers would make sense. Yeah, make senses of the product. Okay, in the consumption practice. You know, and first they would categorize it, and make the use or experience of the product, make sense making process. They feel, well, this makes sense, or this is reasonable, right? They're categorizing the experience into the existing categories, right? They also associating, they relate what they just saw or what they just experienced with something they had before. You know, for me, for example, when I see the movie Avatar 2, I definitely associate that with the first one, right? With the first one, and also other, sci-fi type of a science fiction type of movies and other things. Okay? They also go through the evaluating process. We evaluate on the merit of the product. Is the actress in the movie, or the performance, the directors, cinematography, right? The high tech skills used, right? And appreciating is that you're truly happy with the experience. You have this gratitude, appreciation developed through the process. That's all sense making, okay, in the consumption practice. Also, we are integrating. Okay? We're integrating. You gain your experience, you're actually integrating your experience, this new experience with the existing experience. That's how we learn, right? How we learn, how we grow as human beings, how we become more mature, right? And become well developed as a human being. Okay? We assimilate, okay? We assimilate into the cultural experience or the experience value process we are producing, right? We're personalizing it, make that a part of your personality. And if something positive, you're satisfied, there's also the sharing process, sharing practice. You're communing, forming a community, right? From a community of people using or people have seen the show together, right? Or not together, having seen the show, or having used the product. Or the others, like if you, for example, you want to see a symphony orchestra performing, yeah, like a symphony, right? There's a symphony orchestra lovers or symphony lovers, people loving classical music, forming a community there, right? You're also socializing with other people on your common interest, right? And communicating, you're sharing that, communicating, sharing that with other people. That's the consumption practices in how consumers enjoy the experience of value here. Okay? Also, there are some consumption rituals, kind of consumption rituals. Right? Consumption practices are often behaviors that follow preset, institutionalized patterns that are sometimes collectively shared. Shared, right? In these cases, experience take the form of our consumption ritual. You find consumption ritual, right? Like individuals, right? There's the individual and the individual consumption rituals, and also the shared values here. For the individuals, for example, the ritual or the pattern or the consumption or the joy is meaningful for the individual alone. Something that you just like yourself. Okay. I use the 焚香, the 焚香, 煮茶, 静坐, right? And sometimes, do you have the feeling or do you have the urge sometimes? You just want to be quiet by yourself, right? Be quiet yourself, to reflect on yourself. And in the Chinese intellectual style or intellectual tradition, we will burn incense. To see my incense burner in the back. Do you see that? You see that my incense burner on the back of in my room, just in my office? Yeah. I have some
Yes,
incense
Professor.
burner. Yeah, thank you. I have that. Sometimes it's just burn some incense. Or also I use the candles, from the stores, and burn some candles to create an aroma for the office, right? And when you cook your tea, a cup of tea in your incense environment, you sit down, you reflect yourself, you silent meditation, or do your face exercise. That's you can have individual ritual like that. Okay. Also, there is a ritual by the more like a community type, right? And community type of rituals and doing things together. In America, you find a lot of what we call the SIG, Special Interest Group. Have you found anything or heard about any special interest group? People just love to do something together. Yeah. Harley Davidson, right? You know Harley Davidson? The American-made motorcycles, big motorcycles had Harley Davidson, Harleys. People who own and ride Harley Davidson motorcycles, they have their own community. They have their own community. You can call them brand community, a brand community. They just love to stay together because they are Harley owners. There are many type of those Harley owners and motorcycles, groups. One notable group of people, I think, is American veterans group, right? For some reason, many of them, they just love Harley Davidson motorcycles. They like to ride Harley Davidson motorcycles in their special leather jacket, leather pants, leather uniform, and they just wear the black leather type of outfit while riding their bicycles. Yeah. And they form a special group, a super group. I think that group is pro-Trump. If you remember during in 1996 and in 2000, during the political campaign, presidential election, Trump supporters, one of them is this brand community, Harley Davidson group. And there are many veterans in that group, right? They just love to ride Harley Davidson motorcycle together. I have a friend who he told, who is a motorcycle enthusiast. This guy is a magician, and he would love to have a motorcycle, an Harley Davidson motorcycle, and I think he also bought for the Japanese one, Japanese Honda. The motorcycle is huge, and have you seen those motorcycles? It's big, and you can have two people on it, and oh, it's costing a lot. Actually, the motorcycle. I remember my friend's house motorcycle, huge, big motorcycle. It costs as much as a small car. It's not cheap, because brand communities. Of course, as marketers, in marketing, we are interested in learning about brand communities. People forming their communities, a group together based on certain brands. Okay. There are four types of value generation consumption practices in brand communities. A community on certain brand names, okay? Like Harley Davidson. Okay? And I happen to join a brand community. What cars do you guys drive? Do you drive your own your car, or do you drive your parents' car? What do you drive?
I drive a Lexus.
Yeah, Lexus, good. But the others,
We have a Subaru.
was that Subaru? Okay, Subaru, Lexus. What about Justin and Jenny?
We have a Lexus.
Lexus, okay. But Jenny, do you drive?
No.
No, I know your mom, so I know your mom. She drives a Mercedes, right? And actually, she gave me a ride a couple times. I give her rides a couple times. I happen to have a Lexus too. I have a Lexus. It's an SUV that I use to go to school, commute. And also I have a Mercedes that I drive during the weekend. And, uh, and then the other day, it was a couple of years ago, somehow, I don't know how they know about this. Somebody sent me an invitation. See, you want to join us? We have a Mercedes user group. It's S-Class. It's an S, mine's the Mercedes S-Class, right? And I said, okay, I'll join it. Then I just joined it. It says user group on I think it's on Facebook, or it's on Facebook, Twitter. On Facebook, yeah, Facebook. And I joined that. And then, okay, the owner said, okay, feel free to put some pictures of your car. I just put some pictures on there. Then I found that, wow, there's so many people, in the group. Yeah, of course, they're all Mercedes S-Class car owners. We all have the same. Instantly, you feel that you belong to a group of people. And this group is global, actually. Have people from all over the country. I mean, all over the world owning that. And then in the group, we share our pictures about how proud you feel about your own car and your life experience with the car, and also problem you have with the car. Someone say, hey, I got this lights on. What's going on here? And others will say, hey, this is probably because this is that. But you can fix yourself, or you have to take to a dealer. Yeah, that's what the people do. Yeah? In a group, they really feel there's a special bondage there, right? It's a social group. It's actually a social group. right? It just happened to have joined couple years ago, and I'm still in the group. You know, from time to time, I see some nice pictures or upload my pictures. Okay, that's a brand community, definitely brand community. I think two of you are still driving Lexus. You know, that's another brand community probably. It may not be formally established. That's what the Chinese Asian people like to have. And Chinese people, Asian consumers, Asian consumers love Japanese cars. And they love Toyotas and Hondas. Right? If they're in the middle class, they belong to middle class people, they'll buy Toyotas, Hondas. Right? And if they have more money, you guys probably have more money with your parents do well, do better, do well. They buy Lexus. Lexus is from Toyota. Acura is from Honda. Okay, so it's a luxury brand in Toyota group. Toyota. Do you also know that where do you guys take your Lexus for repair or maintenance? Do you take them to Lexus dealer?
No, just whatever local whatever I forgot the name of it. Just local, not a dealer.
Okay. Let me give you a suggestion. You can take it to a Toyota dealer. Now, you can do why take Toyota dealer? I used to have Toyotas. You know, I drove Toyota Camry for many years. I had several Toyotas before that. I had several Toyotas. You know, Toyota and Lexus, they all belong to the company Toyota automaker, right? And they're actually the same. They're actually exact same. So if you take your Lexus, it's a luxury car. You take the Lexus dealership, they can charge you. They can charge you a lot of money. Yeah, it's very expensive. Right? Just the labor expensive. They get same parts, same things, but they charge you more. If you go to a Toyota dealer, they will service your car. They'll be just as good as a Lexus, but charge you less. Okay? Some tip for you. All right, brand communities, right? There is a social networking practices, right? In the brand community, social networking practices. Did you join a social group, right? They seek to create and reinforce social connections within the community. People belonging to the same group. There's impression management practices. They target people outside the community with an aim of attracting new members and creating positive impression of the community itself. Okay? They have that sense, impression management practice. There is also the community engagement practice, the aim to solidify membership in the community. Like that's someone who dropped me the email or dropped me an invitation to join. You know, I don't know that person. I don't know how he knew that I had Mercedes. So he just sent me something, and I joined the membership. Okay? And also there's a brand use practices that have to do with specific behaviors such as grooming or personalizing the products related to the brands. Okay? So people, especially I think Western people, Americans, they really treat their cars like a pet, like a member of their family. It's kind of crazy, you know. That when I was a chemist in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, I was working. That was my first job in Tennessee, at Oak Ridge near Knoxville, Tennessee. And one day, my coworker came in, and she kept talking about McKelly, so and so, McKelly, so and so. So we were. I thought she was talking to about her children or something, or pet. Then turned out that her Kelly is her car. She had a new second car. It's a her kid, her kid is her car. She even gave her new car her new car a name. And collecting, right? Consumption experiences is typical in the creative industry. Collecting is another one. Collecting is another one, right? What's collecting is represents a unique form of consumption because value lies in the set of items that make up the collection. And the end result of activities aim at creating, expanding the collection itself. Collecting. People work they're crazy about collections, right? They have all kind of collection behaviors. You'll be surprised, you know. It's just that they collect baseball cards and they collect everything, anything, you know, just you know, and they want to create and expand their collection themselves, and they come encourage each others, right? They can provide all the different types of values. There's the hedonic values in collection. There's the ethical values, communicative values, and utilitarian values. Some collections could generate more money for you. Do you guys collect? Do you know people collecting stamps, postal stamps?
Oh yeah, I used to collect stamps.
Oh, you do? Do you have
Yeah.
what kind of stamp do you collect?
Oh, whatever I can find.
Whatever you know. Okay. I have a uncle, not uncle, auntie. Her husband. Yeah, he was doing well in China. They collect stamps. You know how they collect? The way I collect I collect stamps when I was you know in high school. You know how I collect stamps? I just collect stamps by using the you know collect the envelopes, cut the stamps out, the used one, right? It's already postmarked as it can put in put somewhere as a collection. Yeah. That's the amateur type of collection. You know how he did it? He will buy the entire set of new stamps coming out from the mint. Think about this, you know, we normally buy stamps, you know, like 20 cents, 50 cents, whatever, you know, 10 cents or 5 cents, smaller one. They are large denomination stamps, you know, costing in China, but then costing $20, $50 per each. You buy the entire set, it costs a lot of money. You must have a lot of money to spend to buy those many stamps, right? And well, the guy he's gone now. He's I don't know where his stamp collection. Donations, yeah, donations is also a consumption experience, right? Donations are the consumer's experience with creative products, yeah, and these can provide all of different types of values. There's the hedonic values, ethical, communicative, and utilitarian values. Donations, yeah. Donation to different places, like to museums, for example, right? To charities, to museums, to even to universities. Right? Do you know my title at my school? Yeah, Fei Tian. I'm just. I think I'm. I mean, what's my title here? Adjunct professor of marketing, adjunct professor business. Yeah, because I'm not taking money from them. I don't earn money on anything, and I just do that for free. You know, as a kind of volunteer type. Yeah, and my own school, I'm a professor of marketing. That's my title, full job title, and also I have a honorary title. It's called John M. Allen Palmetto Chair Professor in Business. You know what that is about? You know what a chair professor is? Does anyone know? Ever heard of it? Okay. You see some of your professors have a chair professor title. My chair professor title is the John M. Allen Palmetto Chair, right? What happens here is because this guy named John M. Allen, he and his family, his wife, his family donated some money to my university. And he said, okay, I want to establish a chair. Just like chair, right? Establish a chair. Well, this is a kind of like a virtual chair, right? Basically chair. A virtual chair is they say they donate $100,000, let's say $100,000. The money is invested in something, and then every year the $100,000 will generate $5,000 in interest or in return, right? The money is not touched. The money stays there. Every year, through investment or they generate $5,000 in interest, and they use that interest to pay. In this case, it paid me, right? I got the money, from the endowed chair. So this basically the chair is symbolic. Its name and it bears their name. They bear their good name and get passed this on forever. For us, our faculties and professors, we compete for that chair. Right? We have to do right in our competition, our credential to compete for that chair. If I get it, I own that chair. I have the title. I have that title each time of 3 years. For 3 years, I have a title. That's kind of donation they give. You can send in, get donating money to a university to establish an endowed chair position that encourage, academic activities, teaching activities, and service activities, etc. Okay? So that's where you can spend donate your money, right? So donation in America takes many, many, many forms, right? Donating to university is a big one, a good one. Donating to United Way, going to all those Red Cross or Cancer Research Foundation, blah, blah, blah. A donation is consumer experience is with a creative product. It can generate lots of values, hedonic values, they make themselves feel good. Okay? There's a utilitarian values, sometimes there's tax benefit. Okay? So different type of value generated by individual donations. Okay? There's extrinsic, there's the intrinsic, there's the self-oriented, there's the other-oriented. Right? What's intrinsic value here? Self-oriented, tax benefits, and cost savings. Maybe surprised. Actually, some rich people, they want to donate, so they can get a tax benefits. Yeah, they get a tax benefit. There is other oriented. There's a social relations, public recognition. And they establish social relation as a big generous donor. And there's a public recognition. Like John M. Allen, this guy's name, will stay within my university forever because the money is never going to be touched. They only use the interest to pay the shareholder. The current holder is me, but they're going to pay someone year after year after year. So that name, the chair, stays forever, basically. Okay? There's intrinsic value here, identification, sense of belonging to the community, they're self-oriented to themselves, and also to the outside, outside themselves, to society, they're giving back to society. Feel good, right? Support social progress. Good thing. Okay? That's donations. Right? Consumption experience typical in creative industries. There's also experience without possession. Sometimes having something or owning something versus having access to something. There's also experience without possession. We call it access. Right? Let me give an interesting example here. When I was a graduate student at Purdue University, and I went to a small deli restaurant to work, to make some money, actual money, right? And so I think it's called Mr. V's Deli, Mr. V's Deli restaurant. And over there, while working there, I learned how to make pizza, make sandwiches, make all kind of things, salad. That was a good experience, right? Every day, end of the day, we can make a sandwich for ourselves or make little pizza ourselves to take home. And one day, a customer came in. Old man came in. Old man with a little young boy, came to the store. And I was ready to serve them. I said, "Hey, sir, good afternoon. How can I help you? What would you like to order?" I asked them, right? And the guy didn't even pay attention to me. He walked right into the counter, through the counter, to the inside, to the back of the store where we're located. We have a counter there, right? He walked inside through the inside and went directly to the ice cream machine. Over there, he took the cone and got the ice cream for himself, and another ice cream for the little boy. It looks like his grandson. Right? And then they together they tried to walk out. I was like, somehow you haven't paid yet, right? How can you just come in to the back of the store and just get ice cream pie for yourself without paying for it, without even ordering, right? I was about to say something. My coworkers, pulled me over, saying, "Yeah, say, don't say anything." Yeah. You know what happened? Why is that? Turn out that the guy, that guy is Mr. V. His father, Mr. V's red daddy. He's a great guy, an interesting guy. He actually own like a automotive, I mean plumbing parts service company next door. He was a veteran, a World War II veteran. When he got out of the military, he came back to, this is in Lafayette, Indiana. Lafayette, Indiana. He started this business. He grew his business over the years. He was so successful, so successful. At one time, at the peak time, there are 1 million customers on his roster. 1 million customers. He can, when whoever wants to order anything for the plumbing need, he has the parts. He has the plumbing parts. He can ship it right away. It's just so good. He actually bought himself a white Mercedes-Benz custom made, with gold trim for himself and one for his wife. Of this small town of Lafayette, Indiana. That's a story, interesting story. And then he sold this restaurant to, the current owner that I'm working for, the owner. But in the contract, he had a special stipulation saying that this guy can come into the store with his grandson, anytime to get um, ice cream. That's in the contract. So that's why he just come in and get his ice cream and left. Without, he doesn't own this restaurant anymore, but he kept his access. He can still get to the restaurant, the products and services for free, for life. Yeah, basically for life. Interesting case, yeah. Okay. So experience without possession, access. Just like we go to like a museum, right? There are two ways that you can enjoy the collections in the museum, like a bronze statue or something from ancient times. You can buy it, you have money, you can buy it, put it in your living room, enjoy it every day, or you can go to the museum to enjoy it, to see it, and enjoy it without the possession. You need to have access. Okay? So there's a big difference between ownership and access. The big difference is that the first allow consumers to repeat the consumption experience, and also owners have a degree of control or power that's partially or totally lacking for people who only have access. Right? That part is, there's a difference here, right? The two led to different consumption practices. Right? Either you own it, possess it, or with no possession. Possession or access only. The intensity of the consumption experience. Let's talk about the intensity of consumption. Sometimes the consumption experience could be very intense, right? You see the show, see a movie, you feel very, very excited, exhilarating, overly excited, it's joyful, right? Consumption experience can be classified based on two dimensions. How challenging the experience is. How challenging experience. The experience can sometimes require you to be mentally prepared. It could be challenging, right? And also what skills the experience calls into play. If you go see, for example, go see, go to a concert, symphony orchestra concert, right? You probably should know something about the orchestra or to the classical music, right? Then you need to have that skills, right? To understand, to appreciate that, to know, right? So there is a challenge, right? There's also the skills involved. As these two factors increase, so that the intensity experience. It's more challenging the experience, right? You need some expertise to understand it, or you have more skills, higher skills to understand it, then your experience will be stronger, intensify, higher, stronger and stronger. Just like see the show, see Shen Yun show, for example. And this is go see Shen Yun. Some people say, "Oh, it's pretty, pretty, pretty." You know, some people just don't have that much knowledge about the arts or singing or dancing. They just say, "Oh, they're just inspired by the beauty," and that's fine. That's good, right? And we try to interview people. When we try to interview people, we want to find the musicians, music educators, ballet ballerinas, ballet dancers, people who have some certain skills. When these people talk about show, they can talk about it at a higher level because they knew the challenge, they knew the difficulty, they knew the hardship, you know, the hardships the dancers, singers, performers put in before they give this presentation. Okay. The highest level of intensity is called the flow. It's called flow, right? That's the term they use. Okay. Basically, you look at this, you know, there's intensity of consumption experience. We can look at the challenges, okay, from low to high, you know, something that's easy to understand, there's no challenge, or low, and to high is a lot of challenge, you know, to understand. Yeah. Also, the skill level needed to enjoy this performance, to enjoy the consumption experience, could be low to high, okay. Depending on that, the intensity of the experience could be apathy, more apathy, you know, the low skills, low challenges, to the highest one will be high challenge and high experience, high skills, it will be the flow, state of flow. Okay. And other than the flow, there could be, you know, low, middle skills, high challenges, arousal, right? If it's a high challenge, right, but low skills, they may experience anxiety because they don't know how to understand it. They don't understand the real essence there, right? The challenge is so high, or the challenge is not so low, so high, and the skills low. They may have worry. It's not as bad as anxiety. It's worry. Okay? And if you have something requiring middle levels skills, but challenge is low, they may feel bored. They may feel that it's not that exciting or it's not challenging for them, right? And, or if it's they had high skills but challenges low, they may just feel like relaxed, okay? Or maybe in control, somewhat in control. Okay? The highest form of highest intensity of consumption experience is flow, right? This flow, this concept here, okay, I have while I'm teaching, even though I'm teaching you this, you know, actually I'm teaching you based on the textbook we have, you know, I have some reservations about this concept, you know, flow. You know, I'm not totally convinced it's actually a good state, especially from, I mean, from practitioner's perspective. Okay, so what is flow, right? The concept of flow often translates into immersion into this. Okay, I call that like a 沉浸其中. You understand this? Yeah. You really 沉浸其中. You really immerse yourself into the process, right? This term refers to the consumer being one with the experience. And when the cognitive, emotional, and also physical distance between the consumer and the situation diminishes to the point of disappearing altogether. The reason I am not very comfortable with this flow is that you may maybe you're losing, you know, consciousness. Your main consciousness may not be in control, right? And that's not something that we as practitioners should want to have, you know. And also, this may lead to something like drug use. You know, I know some drug addict, you know, drug users. They may feel something like totally immersed, you know, in the flow. They lost their consciousness, so that's not good. But that's just my personal impression of this concept. It's I want to share with you. I know you're also practitioners. But for the class, for the sake of this class, for the materials, I just follow that, use that. Okay, that's flow, fully immersed in the experience. Yeah. hopefully they don't lose themselves. Okay. There is a aesthetic experience, right? There's the Wagner in 1999 came up with the model of aesthetic experience. When we experience something aesthetical, right? It's something beautiful, okay? Beautiful, right? There is a contemplation, right? Because by interacting with the aesthetic product, individuals concentrate on certain characteristics that capture their attention and gradually immerse them in the experience. Do you have that feeling? Have you been to the Met, Metropolitan Museum in New York? You have? Okay, that's good. You young guys. Yeah, I spent the whole day there, whole day. One year, a few years ago, when we had a Fa Hui, I was there. I spent the whole day, in the Metropolitan Museum. Yeah. And also, I like to go to museums. I've been to that one. I also been to the Louvre, the Louvre in Paris. Okay? And I went to British Museum in London, okay? And also to the National Museum in Holland. Um, and you can see a lot of the ancient stuff, from the dynasty, from the old civilization, right? In Metropolitan Museum, in the Met in New York City, in Manhattan, you will see some really good, old, beautiful stuff. It's so beautiful. Immerse yourself in there. It captures your intention. You immerse them in the experience. You really concentrate yourself. And you can have a sense of losing time and space. It's just so you'd be wondering, how could those artists from hundreds of years ago create something so beautiful? Just amazing. Right? That's contemplation, right? That's aesthetic. When we encounter something aesthetic, right? There's also apprehension of beauty. That's recognizing product stylistic element and content that gives it aesthetic value. Aesthetic value. And recomposing these qualities into a holistic view. Changing your whole view of art creation in humanity. Then there's the appreciation. The end result of process of evaluation in which consumers compare the product to similar ones they're familiar with or to their ideal of beauty. This is called aesthetic pleasure. Aesthetic pleasure. I'm sure many people who have seen Shen Yun show experienced this aesthetic pleasure. I had. I'm sure you had probably, right? When I went to the Met Museum, I had this aesthetic pleasure, definitely. Right? The Louvre, definitely aesthetic pleasure, and also the British Museum. A lot of things that get you aesthetic pleasure. Okay? That's the aesthetic experience, right? How does aesthetic experience work? Okay? Basically, you have this aesthetic object, maybe a David, the David statue by Michelangelo. You have aesthetic object here, right? And then you have upon seeing the David sculpture by Michelangelo, for example, right? There is a perceptual analysis. How do we perceive the beauty or aesthetic value? There's a perceptual analysis of its complexity, how complicated it is, the contrast, right? Maybe the symmetry of the beautiful project object, the order, the grouping, right? And then there is implicit memory integration. You connect that with what's in your memory, what you saw before, what makes look or sound familiar, right? There's a prototypicality, there's a pick shifter, okay? And then there is the explicit classification. You classify it into different styles and different contents, okay? And then there's a cognitive mastery, mastering the art-specific interpretation. What does it mean? What does this beautiful object mean? What is the sculptor? What is Michelangelo is trying to tell us? And well, we know, they want to send divinely inspired, inspirations, a message for the people of the world. Right? There is also self-related interpretation based on your own personal value and personal experience. Right? Then there's the evaluation. We're going to come up with some evaluation, right? Evaluating, the cognitive state, the understanding. There could be ambiguity there. There's affective state of satisfaction. And then finally, the output of this is we come up with some aesthetic judgment or aesthetic emotion. And we may say this is good or bad, excellent, or really superb. And also you can have the aesthetic pleasure, 会形成 something, an aesthetic object, right? That's what this aesthetic experience model is about, okay? Then there's a social interaction, disclosure, discourse, with others, right? There's domain-specific expertise, declarative knowledge, personal taste, and that feeds into your pre-classification, your previous experience. Okay? That's what this is about. Okay, I think that's all I want to talk about in this lecture. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, now what time is it?
Sorry, did you say something?
Oh, we can't hear you right now.
Yeah, we can't hear what you're saying.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. Is it because it's okay? Okay, that could be a problem. Okay. Anyway, now you can hear me, right? So, Jenny, for chapter 3 and next week for chapter 4, Jenny is going to give her case studies and lead our discussion. I'll yield the floor to you now. You can share your slide.
How do you share screen?
At the bottom, I don't know what you're looking at. At the bottom, you have a mute or a stop video,
Uh-huh.
and then share and record. You don't worry about the recording here. I'm recording it. And to share you click share,
Uh-huh.
and then you can share your content.
Okay. Sorry.
Do you have just one screen, one laptop, or you have an additional screen or monitor?
Um, okay, 'cause it's just that
Mhm.
I have an Apple, I have a Mac, and then it has these
Oh, hold on,
settings,
hold
and
on. I
then
think I need to make you a presenter. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. See, yeah, I need to make you a presenter.
okay, and then
See if you can now. Do you see the share button at the bottom?
um I see the share button, but it doesn't it brings me to settings. It doesn't bring me to it doesn't let me share my screen.
To setting. Or do you want me to send me your slides? I can share the slides and you can do the talking. How about that?
Okay.
You said, don't you have a screen share content, a screen pop up after you hit the share? No?
No.
Hmm.
Wait, sorry. Let me just double check.
Try again, because I just made you a presenter.
Mm, I think it was in my settings, so it says I need to quit and then reopen the meeting.
We didn't already want a meeting?
I'll leave
Okay.
the meeting and come back.
Okay, okay. Let's wait for her to come back. Okay, let me make you the presenter. Yeah,
Okay,
just
now it works. Okay. Uh,
right. Great. Okay, good.
okay. Can you guys see this?
Yeah, Argentine tango. Argentine
Okay,
tango.
yeah, so this is my case study. It's Argentine Tango Consumption Practices for a Transforming Experience. So first, what is tango? This is play. Okay, yes. Okay, that's just an idea. Okay, let's
Okay,
next slide.
very good.
Okay, so the answer to what is tango is it's an elegant, passionate dance, and it's primarily based on improvisation. And the fundamental principle is, oh my gosh, sorry, one second. Oh, I wrote this down, sorry.
Are you okay?
No, I remember I wrote down my notes. Okay.
Okay.
On a piece of paper in this binder. So yeah, it's based on I mean the fundamental principle is the man is the conductor and the woman is the seducer. It's very, yes, you could kind of see that in the example just then. And there are many styles, three of which are the Milonguero style, which is where partners dance very close together, which I guess they're all really close, but and then the salon style, which is more open embrace, and the tango show style, which is probably what we just saw. It's used for competitions and exhibitions, and it has bigger, more impressive moves, and also it's choreographed. And the place that people dance tango is the Malanga, and there are some traditions there. Traditionally, it's like a place, a building, and then the men and the women sit on opposite sides, and the men if a man wants to invite a woman, he looks at her, and if she meets his gaze, and then he nods, and then they go. And then this is like almost like a ritual. It's to save honor because it's very subtle, so it's not obvious if the guy gets rejected. The girl just has to look away, and also the girl doesn't have the pressure to say yes. Okay. And sense making practices. So um interest in tango is typically hedonic, like just for enjoyment, love of dance, socializing, and music. And there are many opportunities to interact with it from classes, festivals, performances, dance schools. Yeah, and then there are classes offered at various levels. So there's basics where students can acquire technique and um, learn about the history and tango culture, famous dancers and famous places. And there's this thing called practica sessions where it's like almost like a practice session. It's like a place where people get together and you can just practice basically. And it is creating competencies through this system of schools and festivals, and it renders sense-making practices structured and codified.
Mm.
Like what that means, like people can learn to categorize different types of tango, the tradition and the evolution of dance, because there's many opportunities to kind of learn about it.
Mhm.
And now let's go into the history of it. Um, it was born in the brothels of the outskirts of Buenos Aires. So originally it was like I think everyone knows what brothels are, right? Okay.
Yeah.
It
Do,
dates
do you
back
do you
to,
guys all know? Do you all know others? Okay.
and then so it dates back to the second half of the 1800s, and partially maybe because of where it originated. It was like originally a forbidden dance, but during the 1920s, it reached the golden age and even spread to like Paris. But then it was later banned from 1955 to 1983, and but so it keeps going through like this up and down, like it's popular and then it's like dies out of it and then it becomes popular again. And then so during that time it was banned, but in 2007, um by 2007 it kind of like reemerged, and like just in Buenos Aires alone there are like 3.5 million. And in 2009, it was placed on UNESCO's World Heritage List, and it also spread all over the world, like to the United States, Italy, United Kingdom, and France. Okay, integration practices. These are because Argentine tango spread like all over the world, there are a lot of it's kind of like culture clashes, like in terms of values, but then they overcome this with like certain integration practices. So first is the system of roles in the couple, because in tango, it's like the man is the leader and the woman is a seducer, and so it's kind of like I don't know how to pronounce it. Like nowadays, I think it's really I forgot how you say it, but it's like the opposite
Misogyny,
of feminist.
misogyny.
Yeah, that. So, oh, yeah. So it's like nowadays they don't think that's okay, very okay. So it clashes with the Western mentality of like men and women are equal. So usually there are two ways that they resolve it. One is, um, the man leads, but only like literally like the moves. In terms of everything else is just very formal and equal, so you feel like you're on equal standings. It's not like one is the seducer.
Mhm.
Just the dance. Yeah, okay. And the other way is that just accept the traditional thought, like like the woman can temporarily forget about her responsibilities and not feel the need to assert her strength and just go with the flow. Yeah, so these are the two ways.
Mhm.
And then accepting close physical contact, if like in the video we saw earlier, like tango is like super close, like you literally smell the sweat and etc. So it's very close, which is actually not very common in many cultures. So, but in a way, they when you tango, it's like almost like a physical dialogue, and you kind of need to do that because there's a big role of improvisation, especially on the man, because like for performances it's choreographed, but it seems like in the Malanga it's improvised, like it's just you just start dancing on the spot. So you really apparently like when you dance there's certain pressures or whatnot, and then the woman is supposed to know how to move. So anyways, so it seems like the dance relies pretty heavily on physical contact, and that's another thing.
So there's no preset of a movement. Just improvise on the go, basically, right?
Except for the like the performances, those are choreographed.
Mm, yeah.
And then the third integration practice is accepting traditional rituals, like I mentioned earlier, like in the Malanga, like traditionally, it's like that whole like almost like ritual where the guy like subtly looks at the girl and then the girl like looks back at the guy. And then so this is like tradition, and some people think it's very important, like it's like a must. But then as it's spread internationally and just also just the newer generation, some people kind of just think it's not so important. So it kind of changed. And now a lot of places you just ask like, do you want to dance? Yeah, that's that. Yes.
Mhm.
And then sharing practices. So tango is also like said to involve every aspect of a person's life and a world in itself, like a community, like Professor Xie mentioned earlier, like people who have certain products, you know, or like Apple users versus Android users, like you almost feel like you're a world in itself. And within this world, it's also very similar to dance, if like classical Chinese dance, if anyone dances anyways. It's like your status depends mainly on your technical ability and skill, like how well you dance, basically. In the tango world, it's how well you dance matters. And then dance instructors have a lot of influence because some of the Malangas are opened by them, and also they teach people and they just have a lot of connections. And also usually they're pretty good at dancing, so they're pretty influential. Yeah. Um, it and also the tango, it like this world that it is, it's kind of created because it has during when you're dancing, there are a lot of opportunities to socialize, and it's like regardless of age, profession, and social class. And the venues are very important, like I mentioned a few times, like whether it's the tradition or what, but also it kind of determines what type of people you will meet, because there are some Malangas that are very specific about like you have to follow the ritual, and some are more casual, and also some have like dress codes and only certain people can dance, like maybe if you're only at a certain level. And also there's a new thing called illegal tango. And
Okay. Mhm.
it's a recent phenomenon where people, it's kind of like um it kind of reminds me of the Harlem Shake. Anyways, it's just like where flash
That's
mobs are organized by through like social media, social networks, and they're just like streets, train stations, parking lots. And it's called illegal because it technically kind of is, because they don't get a permit. But it's also, it started for pretty practical reasons. Like when it first spread internationally, there weren't many Malangas That's one. And another is because it's economical, because you don't rent a place, you kind of just go to a random place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Okay, now the questions.
Mhm.
Which factors or actors play a part in the sense-making process of tango?
Okay, good question. Come on, guys. Jenny gave a great presentation. Now it's your turn to answer her question.
The dance teachers?
As teachers, yeah.
That's one. I think this can be phrased better. I think this is just the way the textbook wrote it, but my understanding of this, correct me if I'm wrong, Professor, I think what it's asking is like,
Mhm.
what factors create this, like, it took me a moment to realize what sense making means, but I think it means like, um, what gives people like a sense of tango, like a sense
Mhm.
of tango in terms of like the world, the culture, how to dance, like
Mhm.
what like gives people the opportunity to interact with tango, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would say maybe definitely the dancers, right? The male dancers or the female dancers, and also the onlookers, don't you think? The onlookers, the people surrounding that, watching, enjoying their dance, or giving them cheers, or to encourage them, or discourage them, the interaction, you know. And that way, if they dance, they're performing, right? They're performing their dance. If they want people, they want an audience, right? That audience could be just the people, the onlookers, surrounding them in a circle, or watching them on the parking lot or anywhere. So and also do you think that the government or the society, the moral standard in society play a role? Not all the roles are constructive though. Remember, right? The government, you remember in her slide, the government banned the dance for some time, right? And it does that also plays a role, even though it may be a negative role or a destructive role, but the government did play a role. And I would say the moral standard, changed over the years, for good or for bad. It did change, and that could help, and that helped your to shape or make it the popular, or making it, forbidden. So I would say, let me, what do you think? Are there other factors, or people, or institution, or legal system, or even the moral standards of people at the time? Um, if it's considered maybe okay now, may not be considered okay back then. So what do you think, guys? Do you guys dance? Do you guys do the social dancing, ballroom dancing at all? Do you guys ever? Have you ever? You have? Okay, very good. Actually, when I came to America in 1986, and
Never voluntarily.
wonder. Okay, and when I came to America, we had this Chinese student group. We want to learn everything American, Western, and I was the leader of Chinese Student Association then. We actually had a class. I invited a couple, American couple, old couple, the both Mormons actually, the Mormon Christians, and they were the instructors, dance instructors of ballroom dancing. Ballroom dancing. We had a whole semester long class for their ballroom dancing. Just we have waltz, we have cha-cha, tango, gitpa, samba, a whole bunch of different ballroom dances. See, in that case, they actually put the tango together with the waltz. Waltz, waltz, right? Waltz is something from upper class in European upper class tradition, and but they're all part of ballroom dancing. It's all part of ballroom dancing. But tango, of course, has its own unique origin from Argentina, from South America.
Do you think we should move on to the next question?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but actually, if I were to say, I would say some actors that play a big part are, yes, like we mentioned the dance instructors, and also just the classes, because the classes come at different levels from amateur to professional, so it gives people a chance to interact, and also the milongas, because some people might get pulled there or just go there to socialize, and then
Right. Very good. Yeah, yeah. Please, yeah, thank you. Yeah, please do.
So, how have international consumers of tango integrated the experience into their own culture?
Good question. Come on, guys, what's your opinion? What do you think? I think she did talk about this, spread of internationally, right? Yes.
Yeah, I think you mentioned how like the US or like American people thought that it might have been like misogynistic,
Yeah.
and then but they like have their ways to work around it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Did it spread first to other Latin American countries and then to North America and then to Europe, or how did it go? Do you know? Do you happen to know?
It seemed like not necessarily.
No, that's right. Okay. Yeah, you never know. You heard about this Gangnam Style thing, right? That the Korean guy, what's his name? Thai or something, It was just he just created a Gangnam Style, funny style, dancing. It just
So, shall we move on to the last question? Um, how do traditional and innovative dance floors affect the overall tango experience? Oh wait, did we even answer the last one? Yes. Like the 3 points. These three are the answer. Okay. Yes.
I think you said that tango is like very uh, based on improv,
Mm-hmm.
so that could also affect the overall tango experience because they can just do the illegal tango dances. So it's very like on the spot and in the moment.
I think the like this I would oh, hello.
okay. Sorry.
Did
I
you
think
did you
did you
okay.
guys all out or just me?
Just you.
Just me. Okay, sorry. It's my part of my internet connection. Sorry about that. Did I miss something? Go ahead.
We answered number 2 and moved on to number 3.
Okay. Yeah, what's your answer? Can you go back? What's your answer to number 2?
What was everyone's answer? But
Mm.
Yu Yang mentioned the man the man and woman equality thing.
Misogyny, yeah,
Yeah,
misogyny.
misogyny thing. And then
Misogyny.
also the ritual, like the Malanga ritual, like some places keep the whole like nodding, subtle looking thing, and some places kind of just became more casual and just became like asking like, do you want to dance? That was one of the things.
Mhm.
And also the close body contact, like it's not custom for many cultures, but while they're dancing tango, they have integrated it into something they do. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, very good. Okay.
And then Yu Yang said something just then again.
Mhm.
She said, like because tango is very. Actually, could you just repeat your answer? Yeah.
So basically, I said that tango is based on improv. So it makes it a lot easier for the people to just start their illegal tango dance practices, as you mentioned. So it's very like on the spot and in the moment.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah. You want to move on? Go on.
Do I answer it?
Yeah, you think talking about improvisation of the movement. Does that
I
make
mean, is anyone else going to answer, or do I just give the answer?
you can give an answer?
Okay, it's like I mentioned earlier, the illegal tango, like, and whether it's the illegal tango or the milonga, like where you dance affects greatly affects your experience, whether it's who the social circle is, like the formal, and it's like most of the illegal tango are the younger generation, so it like affects the circle of people there, and also it affects the experience because like how formal it is, or if it's just casual, and is everyone wearing like a certain attire, or are they just wearing whatever, and it affects like yeah, that's how it affects, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay, I think Jenny did. You see, that's what I want. I think Jenny did an excellent job. Making this her presentation very informative. Entertaining, interesting, and live. Feel free to use any audio, video you can get to support your story or arguments. Feel free to do that. And also, she definitely has prepared, her answers to the questions, and that's great. Yeah, that's the way I want you to have this. So, yeah, good job. With that, you can get an A on that case. Okay. And any questions, comments about her presentation, the class, or the others? No, no. Okay, I think that's all. That's all we have for today. I will see you. I will probably get the recording and done. They don't generate it right away, so it takes some time to generate it. So I may have to upload this, tomorrow or to the next couple of days. But anyway, that's great. Okay. Yeah. If no other questions, comments, thank you very much, and I'll see you next week, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Professor, bye.
Bye. Great job. Let me get this done. Let's close that.